Basically, we're living through the matrix now.
It's realistic enough that it feels real, but it's just not real.
Fiat keeps you on the hamster wheel forever and ever and ever.
Your average fiat paper, you put it under your mattress, it's lost half of its value.
Fiat is stressful, and not having enough money to pay the bills and maxing out your credit cards and paying 21% interest rates is super stressful.
The average fiat currency or total fiat currency supply increases at around 14% per year. Well, 40% means you lose 50% in 5 years. They've broken this natural order of life where they just figured out that you don't have to worry.
We have a solution to this. The solution is very clear.
Thank God Bitcoin has been invented.
Think about the strategic Bitcoin reserve. They have such an opportunity here to recapitalize America's balance sheet.
The Bitcoin network and the software and the protocol are extremely stable.
Once I put it in cyberspace, it's not just immortal, it's pure energy.
Bitcoin is the exact opposite, right? It gives you a low time preference. It actually not only preserves your purchasing power, but it appreciates your purchasing power over time.
What that means is prices continue to fall against Bitcoin forever.
It can return us to an economy of saving, an economy of something based on value.
I think that is literally like Bitcoin's time to shine, to show the world that it is a safe haven asset.
If there's a strategic Bitcoin reserve, we're going to see the price of Bitcoin go up, and there could be a game theory phenomenon happening.
Bitcoin will never die as long as there's one person alive in this world that yearns for freedom.
Rather than waving flags in the street to protest things we don't believe in politically, we're going to use the power of cryptography to technologically defend human rights.
Bitcoiners are very optimistic and hopeful for the future. And Bitcoiners understand what's broken, and they understand that they have the solution.
And then all of the $900 trillion of capital is going to pursue it on some level.
My God, it's the best drug on earth. There's nothing like it. I've done cocaine, so this is better. It feels amazing.
Bitcoin is a chance to be part of something that will have more of a lasting impact on the world than anything else you could possibly be involved in.
It's a more robust platform, and this thing comes in peace. It's not looking to destroy them. It's not declaring war on them. It's declaring peace on everyone. It says, come if you want.
You have to believe that you are the kind of person who can participate in the Bitcoin story.
Are you the kind of person that can participate in the Bitcoin story? Here we are. 4 days later, we said this on Monday, if we get rejected from this channel of Ascension, we would likely come back and retest the 50 and the 20 moving average. We did just that all day yesterday, riding the light fandango up to 20, then broke it. Now we're underneath the 50. Where are we most comfortable? In this bull run, in this 2025 run, we're most comfortable under the 20 and the 50 moving. It's where we feel like we're at home, not to mention the 200 moving average up there. Will we get there? That's where the peepers are. Keep your eyes out on that one. One thing I wanted to look at before we bring Drew on here is the concept of closing our fourth candle underneath the 50 moving average. Now, these are just arbitrary lines that mean nothing, right? Well, historically, after you close two candles under the 50, you really never go back. But I do expect to retest the bull run rejection zone at 38.2% fib, 98.3-ish. But listen, if you want a little bit of proof, just some historical echoes, let's go back to 2021. And here we see when we closed underneath the 50 moving average. I'm not going to really consider these because we were just kind of mincing words here, going up and down, but 1, 2, 3, 4. It was essentially, we had already dropped over 50% by the time we had closed 4 candles underneath the 50 moving average. And we never, oh, look at that, right up to the 38.2% or 23.6. And that was it, skis. We were done for that bull run. And even we'll go back to this one. We can see here, once we got under the 50, there's really no turning back. Now, of course, everything can change. We can go back to whatever we want. The rules are not static. Every epoch is a whole different journey. What is the journey like for you these days, Dr. Druth?
I mean, it's kind of steady, Freddie. You know, I was looking at that W pattern. Some people are calling it like a downward channel. I kind of look at it as a W pattern, the thing that's been developed over the last, say, like month, you know, maybe a couple weeks.
On what chart?
And what's that?
Which chart? Which time?
I think it was on the daily or the 4-hour, one of those time frames, but just a vibe check right there in the center of the guts of that thing makes sense for me. So because that's usually what we do. I just want to see us hold above 90. If we don't hold, then I might get a chance to buy in the low 80s again. You know what I mean? And I've been trading enough to like build a stash of Tether, and I do hope for lower prices, but I just feel like the hopes that I have for lower prices make it not feasible. And I think the powers of monetary policy are evil. So
Just wanting it's going to mean you're not going to get it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm going to be doing the show around the creature from Crypto Island today. And
Interesting.
What's going on is the Cent and the U.S. regulators are basically giving the Treasury like ultimate tariff and tax power. And then they're going to put this Kevin Hassett guy in charge of the Federal Reserve. But what's happening in the language of the Genius Bill is the U.S. is requiring these stablecoin firms to have 100% of their assets backed in UST bills, Treasury bills, U.S. debt. And this, honestly, is a nightmare for me in the terms of the ethos of crypto. But also, it does make me feel like next year is going to be a good year in terms of price, bad year in terms of Bitcoin being an alternate monetary system. I mean, Bitcoin will always be its own thing, but the stablecoin sector is basically being enslaved by the Treasury. So that concerns me, man. It really, really does concern me. So I'm just like, I feel like I'm standing on business that's kind of counterculture right now, thinking 26 is going to be good, but I only think it's going to be good because the Cent and Trump and Hassett want it to be good. They're going to falsify the economy, cut interest rates into inflation, and then a blow-off top will come. What concerns me is after that comes, the last time we had stagflation, we entered like a 20-year bear market on gold. You know what I mean? Like it was a blow-off top for those, metals, silver and gold. And I don't like Bitcoin's never been here before. A lot of assets have never been staring down the barrel of stagflation in a weaponized treasury system. And they have to do something because Japan and other countries are offloading those bonds. So they're swapping the buyer out instead of countries. It's these stable coin companies, It's a very interesting thing that's happening, in my opinion. And I'm going to be doing the live show about it, but also a pretty in-depth research write-up and video about it as well.
Michael911 says banks and Wall Street always win. Now, the question is, in your heart of hearts, do you think that the banks and Wall Street want Bitcoin to win, or are they secretly
they're jealous?
Sabotage it?
They're gonna do everything they can to build their own rails, and it's like they're gonna. I think the concept of a Bitcoin strategic reserve is a little misunderstood because a lot of the language is just like the Gold Confiscation Act. So I do think that we're gonna back the dollar with a degree of Bitcoin. How much, God only knows, but a lot of the language is just making it a national security concern and basically laying the groundwork out for heavy confiscations, right? That's what happened to gold right before they did the gold standard. And we can all feel it in the air, like something massive in terms of change to what we know as in form of monetary policy, culture, all these things are at the forefront. We're talking about robots going to be in people's houses over the next few years. Jobs, the S&P 500 keeps going to new all-time highs. Jobs go to extreme lows because the economy is showing it doesn't need human input to a large degree. And so where that ends in terms of how, you provide, like, what what use case will a human have 10 years from now if all the workers are robots that don't need healthcare, they don't take time off, they can make the products for basically nothing once the system is in place. Once you pay the trillions of dollars for power and manufacturing locations, that front end cost is a really kind of a one-time payment, and over the course of 10 years from that, prices of goods fall exponentially because you're not having to pay the worker, you're not having to pay the healthcare, you're not having to pay for all of these things that human dignity has demanded, and then human dignity is part of the equation. Corporations can just spit out the product, but what fucking good is it going to be if you don't have a system where people have buying power anymore? That is the really kind of jacked up thing in my head. And they've rolled out the idea of universal standard income to fix this. They, instead of UBI, they're calling it universal standard income, and it's being piloted on Circle. It's coming regardless. It's just like, where does the human economy still exist in all of this, right? Where does that human economy still exist? So,
what does that mean, universal standard income opposed to universal basic? Is that supposed to be an upgrade?
It's basically just a play on words because we've been shitting on the UBI tagline for so long. A lot of people have realized what a universal basic income is. So they're calling it a universal standard income, and they're doing it in high cost locations first, like San Francisco, New York, places where, like you'll barely get by with $5,000 a month. So they're going to pilot out those programs there first. And, it's something that Elon Musk is all excited about, and all these technocratic leaders. And I think about Elon Musk a lot. Like, I am thankful that we can express our feelings and what's on our mind on X, but there is a longer play here of what human input is going to be necessary if they roll out basically iRobot, right? So yeah, it's something I struggle with. I got lots of kids. You got a kid too. It's like you try to think about what they're going to plug into, and the idealist say that we'll be able to spend more time on our creative side, right? And we'll be able to paint pictures and collect money for free, and everything's going to be cheap and free, and it's going to be great. And the realist in me just thinks that we're going to be harvested for data and done away with as the need goes away. Right? That's right.
Well, you'll understand this. Pardon me?
No, well, you go ahead. I mean, I'm on a smartphone. You're on a computer. All of these digital devices are wanted by the elite. If the population keeps growing, there's not enough raw materials to service the elite for all of these new technologies that they want to have, right? So this is always a game of resources, and there will be a point where I think that they look to cut the average person out of the equation so that they can have those resources. But humans are the data input for the system they're building for the time being. What happens when they don't need you in a pod and a stick in the back of your brain pulling the data out of your thoughts? What happens when they have a singular AI system? I don't know, but the cynic in me says that they're probably going to look at you as an expendable item.
Yeah, when you talk about people will have time to paint and do all these artistic ventures, you're really presupposing that people even want to do that. Now, you would understand this, being in a band and being an artist yourself, that even being in an artistic bubble, you realize that it's not the vast majority of people aren't dying to paint and be artistic. The vast majority of people appreciate paintings and like to be subject to it. Like they ingest art. They're not really art creators. So to think that these people all of a sudden become super creative, it's just not going to happen.
Right. I mean, that's kind of what society's becoming. It's like, I think it's always been like that to a degree. But, like in the terms of like how we can outpace and set ourselves in a position of strength through this, for now is Bitcoin and AI, crypto and AI ventures. I think 2030 is the time frame where nanotechnology and literal medical nanobots are going to be a very, very hot item in terms of investments. Those life extension, investments are coming up. So we have to think on our feet over the next 5-6 years for sure, because I feel like if we position ourselves correctly, we can make a lot of money from that. And with that money, we can lock up land and have provisional ability for ourselves and be a steward to our community, instead of a victim to the federal government, right? It's a super important time frame. So that's why I wake up pretty excited about, making sure I'm still on the right path, making sure that we're still expressing the general right direction, for what I'm looking at. I guess it's not advice, but I'm just a public crypto researcher / investor, and I invest in Wall Street on nuclear energy stocks too. I'm just doing it in a public manner, and
I was just about to ask you, do you, outside of real estate, do you dip your toes in any TardFi legacy stocks?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, one of them is nano nuclear energy. I like advancements on nuclear energy companies. I think are going to be a real nice hot ticket item. I think that in terms of how to mine the fiat as human electricians, data center development and production, structural concrete for a lot of the nuclear facilities, data centers. Those are types of things that I think are going to have a lot of human input over the next 10 years in putting together. And so, like, those are some of the industry, even plumbing. I think plumbing is probably one of the safer from AI, employments out there. You have to think about, like, what's a difficult position for a robot to get into, right? Are they going to trust a robot to go on a wet slope in the middle of the winter and grab a bunch of electrical equipment, right? Like, no, it's not very soon that's going to be able to be done. So we have to think about things like that. It's unfortunate because our society has been shitting all over the blue collar industry for decades now. So our children, if you didn't take a focused attempt to show, no, these skills matter, trades matter, if you didn't do that as a parent, your child is just sitting there groveling over some desk jockey job that's going to be easily replaced in the next year or two, and they're going to be completely out of the business. Like, real estate's something to think about. For now, people want human input and like someone telling them that it's okay. But there will be a point where they can just be like, all right, what's the data? How much money does it cost? How much am I going to make? Easy, done. And that, the human input on real estate, human resources, administrative assistance, anything that can be automated will be automated. I absolutely feel that way.
Yeah, I actually had a plumber come by in the past few months, and I was shocked at how young they were, because it was like before the last plumbing issue I had. I think the last plumber was like 60 with a plumber's bum, like just a stereotype plumber. And then the last two plumbers were like seriously 20 years old, and I was like so happy for them. 20 years old and cutting their teeth in this industry. The only thing, because I'm always fascinated with time and exponential growth, is that eventually AI and AI bots, once they start the construction aspect of houses, which will be in the future. I don't think it's in the next 5 years, but I think eventually we'll just, robots will do anything. They will build in electrical and plumbing into the almost like an electric car. So like you take a normal car, it has like 4,000 parts. You take an electric car, it has like 40. I think when AI starts building houses, instead of having like 1 million parts in a house, it'll be like an electric car, like 40, everything built in. And at that point, maybe we see a decline in those trades. Maybe. Not sure though.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about, there's going to be a lot of existing infrastructure that they're not going to want to redo for price reasons.
Yeah.
So like I was kind of in this, when I saw robots come into manufacturing, I was working in manufacturing, and we were at a company IBM Lexmark that makes printers and ink, right? So before the robotics came in, it took about, God, I think it was like 600 people to run this plant. And then they brought in automated systems, and we were basically a crew of 8 people overseeing the same manufacturing process that took 600 humans to do before, because the systems got automated. All we were there to do was to test the output, to maintain the machinery if and when things went wrong. And that was like, 10 years ago. It's gotten even more automated since then. So I think there will be a degree of like human oversight and testing. So that is, something that I think about and look out for. And like, yeah, I'm in crypto right now and investing. And honestly, it's gone good enough where I think I'm pretty well off at this point. But, I used to run a decking and fencing business, fencing repairs. Did a painting business as well, did interior finishes and stuff like that on existing structures that just need restoration, right? I think that's kind of the, I'm going on kind of a how to mine fiat over the next 5-10 years rant, but this shit matters, man, because like, you see so many people struggling. They're confused about what's going on right now. They just got put out of their customer service job. They've put out 800 applications that all have been washed to the side by some AI aggregator. HR isn't even looking at resumes right now. They just have a filter, an AI filter, and that's what people are falling victim to. So this shit matters, and if you can't make money, you can't invest money, right? So that's the thing.
I'm going to view your mullet as a signal for your investing prowess and success. The bigger and longer your mullet gets, there will be signs. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that. Last night I did
I just screwed it up a little bit, but I'm liking the mullet.
It's getting pretty legendary.
I'm liking it, and I'm actually I'm trying to coax a big name to get into the ring with me, so
like what do you mean to fight?
Yeah, because if I can get paid a good chunk and go to Dubai and do a fight, like that'd be funner.
Of course. Who can you give us a hint?
Well, I've been offered to Mason. I gotta find someone tall, I'll go get knocked out by Crow if the money's right. I'll go get knocked out by Crow for sure.
Well, isn't it weight based? Like you can be 6'5", but if some 5'11" guys, same weight.
Maybe I'm kind of out of a lot of weight classes at this point. I like pizza and I like cheeseburger and steak. Okay, so.
Well, at 6'5", though, no one knows what 6'5" is supposed to weigh, right? Because it's like a very abnormal height for humans, right? They're like, I don't know, 6'5", 300 pounds. I don't know, right? Most people don't know.
Yeah,
Do you have fighting training?
I'm like skinny, about 265. So I'm like, it's not like I'm some roided out monster. You know what I mean? But yeah, I love watching the crypto fight night stuff. I've been really enjoying that shit. I think J Chains has a fight tonight too.
Really?
Yeah, I've been rooting.
Who's he fighting?
God, I don't know the guy's name, but I'm gonna be watching. And then we got Blonde Brokers fighting soon. I think it's all going down tonight.
Where?
It's been because I've been sending in applications. They don't respond. And George wouldn't let me in when he was running it. You know what I mean? Because it was during the whole, the time frame.
Yeah, we'll only let Ben come and fight, not anyone. Yeah.
And Ben wanted to fight me, and then he just chose to fight Ansem instead. So.
Well, when I watch those videos, the limited amount of fight training I've had, which is maybe 2 years, and that 2 years is more than most people will ever get, right? But when I see these fights, I'm like, man, anyone with a little bit of training would decimate all these people. So if you have a little bit of training, you might as well go and clean up every weight class.
Yeah, I got fake teeth from fighting, So, I've definitely been there. I don't have the wrestling years though. I don't have the wrestling years.
Well, I noticed that none of them know how to fight. Like even Ben, who took like months of training, whoever trained him was just the worst. I mean, I couldn't believe it. That's like almost dangerous, right?
No, I mean that was like a moment where I could have had a real quick come up. I was super excited about it. So
For sure.
I've stayed training. I think I've been doing it for like, God, how long has it been? I think maybe like 2.5 years or something like that. And then before, like I was almost, the only reason why I'm not a cop is because TJ hired me. I was on my way to Arkansas for the state trooper job because I was a contractor for the police in Colorado during the riots. And then I got an offer from Arkansas State Patrol. And then TJ called me up and, you know, he responded to this video I sent, you know. And so
what was
like,
the video?
all right. What's that?
What was the video? Was it a cold call video, like just a submission?
Well, what it was is a video submission where I was predicting Ukraine was going to get invaded. And it was about 2 or 3 months before it happened or something like that. So it actually started to happen. And then they remembered the video and TJ hit me up and we talked about macroeconomics pretty heavily. And I came in more as a macroeconomic researcher and writer for Ben is what I was. And then kind of transformed. It was kind of a crazy time because there was just a need to run the show at a point, right? And I didn't know what I was doing, but I sat there for hours in the morning and just pressed all the buttons, figured everything out, and just started doing it. You know what I mean? And it gave TJ a little bit of leeway to go do his CEO stuff. And then me and TJ started up the blockchain basement together. And then the cataclysm happened and I had to just jump on stage. And I had never hosted a show before that first show that I hosted for the blockchain basement, but I was just not going to leave the community behind from what cataclysm had to go down. You know what I mean? Because there just wasn't enough time in the day for TJ to keep handling it. And he kind of just handed me this torch and I ran with it. And it's kind of crescendoed into this pretty cool situation, honestly. Like, I feel really, really blessed. You know, I went through a lot of crazy stuff over the last 2 or 3 years in crypto. And like just buying and holding and just being a participant in crypto last bull cycle is so much different than what I'm doing right now. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a thing. But
what's the funny thing about go ahead.
No, I mean, I learned a lot from Frankie. You know, I learned a lot from sitting next to Frankie on how he was trading. And so, like, people were asking me what's my favorite crypto 25. It's Tether on leverage. You know what I mean? Like, and then buying up more Bitcoin with the winnings.
How do you leverage Tether?
Well, I mean, that's what it is. On an exchange, you're not taking a Bitcoin and saying it's going to go higher or lower. You're taking a margin position in Tether on the price of Bitcoin going up or down, right? And then you win or lose. And then if you're smart, you get the hell out of the casino each week after winning or even losing, you know, living to fight the next week. And then you buy more Bitcoin, actual Bitcoin with that Tether, take it off the exchange, put it in a cold storage device. Like, my general goal is to win 1% to 3% of a Bitcoin per week. It doesn't, like, I don't think in terms of like money. I want to get 1% to 3% of a Bitcoin per week. And it's been a really nice focus for me to keep doing. You know what I mean? Because I don't even consider the Bitcoin that I have, you know, as part of my portfolio, because it's not mine. It's my kids. Like, I'm just putting it away. I'm going to survive just fine in my lifetime. I've got things together. It's my kids that I'm thinking about for this Bitcoin. It's not me and some idiotic idea to buy a Lamborghini that I'm never going to fucking, you know, use. It's about putting money away for those kids so that they can have buying power, land, and ability when I'm gone, right? That's the whole focus here.
Yeah, when actually, speaking of that Lamborghini, when I think back to 2021, that was like peak right there. You could almost pinpoint as soon as that Lamborghini came in. It's such a cliche, right? Like buy a Lamborghini. It seems crazy, but like from where I'm sitting up here in Kanadistan, like correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like you're kind of taking over that channel a little bit. Like I see you more in the hosting seat than anyone, right? Or am I wrong?
Well, DZ still is the best host on crypto. I think DZ is the best fucking host in crypto, and he is crushing the morning stream. DZ has always been a pillar, and me and DZ have a very, very good working relationship because we don't agree on everything, but we're like an iron sharpening iron type situation, right? He questions me, I question him. We can have very healthy debates at a very high level and basically sharpen each other's sword by doing so. So it's a very good relationship there. Obviously, TJ and me have a great relationship, and like I run the 2 p.m. And we have Kelly doing the TA and everything like that, and it's nice to have him on there. Kelly is he's kind of taken over the Twitter aspect of Discover Crypto, so he's running a lot of spaces, and he's doing a lot of larger trade setups, which have been working pretty good. But yeah, man, like I'm definitely starting to do uploads for DC, and I just turned the lights back on the blockchain basement yesterday. So now I'm doing both, right? And on the blockchain basement, I can rant about the cultural issues that I see. Mostly Discover Crypto, they're like, hey, is this altcoin going to survive? Did I top blast Zcash? It's never coming back, things like that. On the basement, it's people that truly understand long. It is nicer. So, but each has their own spot.
Well, the interesting part about you, DZ, in that channel is that there's an origin story that people can go back and see. You see a lot of these channels pop up, and they're already almost like YouTube plants of sorts. They're immediately thrust into subscribership, like unreal subscribership. But you can go back and you can see DZ's first live stream. When he was filling in for Ben, and it was harsh, right? It was like. You just in the gauntlet, learning as you go. You can go back to the origins of blockchain. You guys didn't start killing it, right? You had to train yourself as you go. And if anyone, like nobody really knows how difficult a live stream is. There's a million moving parts, right? And you're just thrown into it. Figure it out.
That is what it was. I mean, DZ trial by fire. He was running NFT Alpha. And Ben just wanted to go and do all these traveling excursions, and we were not going to stop doing the shows. DZ, right there, and he did an incredible job. And really, the most difficult thing right now is making sure that we're not absolutely insane for thinking 26 is going to be good. But I will say this: there's a reason why I believe next year is going to be good monetarily for crypto. It's not because, there is just massive amount of hopes. Just because the government is literally intent on taking over crypto from a systemic point of view. And over the course of the next month or two, they're laying out the infrastructure to literally capture stable coins, create massive amounts of liquidity with hard-sided and liquid assets that basically can be devised on the blockchain. So this is not a time frame where I would stop paying attention to crypto, even though the massive amount of people are out there saying to batten down the hatches, we're going to 40K. The electrical cost of Bitcoin is still at $70,000. And there's nothing that an agency at the top would love to do more than to wash out every single retail holder, cause them to shit their pants with a nasty washout like we just had, and then ride off into monetary irresponsibility, fiscal blow up top. And this is either a Great Depression 2.0 coming or an inflationary weather storm that is going to make everything go too high for the average person to exist. This is why it's important to invest. This is why it's important to stay focused, because the next 5 years are going to be the most important years of your financial life.
Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video.